The chair recognizes the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Brooks, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to defend Alabama citizens' right to fair representation and equal apportionment under the United States Constitution. In some recent censuses, the Census Bureau counted illegal aliens, and indications are they'll count illegal aliens again in the 2020 census. This potentially illegal practice puts Alabama at significant risk of losing a congressional seat when the 2020 census reapportionment occurs for the 2022 elections. For this reason, the state of Alabama and I have filed suit in federal district court for the Northern District of Alabama against the United States Department of Commerce and the Bureau of the Census to require them to exclude illegal aliens when they conduct the 2020 census. Specifically, the state of Alabama and I challenge the legality of the Department of Commerce's residence rule, which counts everyone, including illegal aliens, in America's population count. If the roughly 15 million illegal aliens in America, no one knows for sure how many there are, were dispersed throughout the United States in equal proportion to each state's population, then no state would be disadvantaged in congressional representation, and this discrimination issue would be moot. However, the difference in illegal alien population between states is dramatic. According to Department of Homeland Security 2014 estimates, 46% of America's illegal aliens live in just three states. California, with the greatest concentration of illegal aliens, estimated at 2.9 million, has roughly 4 more congressmen due to apportionment that counts illegal aliens. Reapportionment of House seats and electoral votes is a zero-sum proposition. One state's gain is another state's loss. With an estimated 65,000 illegal aliens, Alabama citizens and citizens of many other states as well lose proportional representation because of various open borders policies of some states. The exact effect of the illegal alien population on the apportionment of congressmen is complex based on the, quote, method of equal proportions, end quote, formula that is used to minimize the percentage difference in population per congressman. But one thing is clear. Simulations of the apportionment process using current population projections suggest Alabama is at great risk of losing a congressional seat if the Census Bureau counts illegal aliens. As with anything in the United States Constitution, the census should be read, understood, and strictly administered according to its original intent. The 14th Amendment protects the rights of citizens to fair and equal representation. Any deviation in this process threatens the right of each American citizen to fair and equal representation in Congress. We cannot allow a small number of states to cheat the rest of America by promoting illegal immigration and then, as a reward for their lawless conduct, to receive greater proportional representation in Congress and the Electoral College. Mr. Speaker, the question is clear. Should congressional representation be based on the number of American citizens or expanded to include the number of illegal aliens? I cannot speak for anyone else in Washington, D.C., but for me. And as for me, I side with American citizens, not illegal aliens and illegal conduct. America is a republic, and the essence of being a republic is respect for the right of American citizens to equal protection and equal influence over congressional elections. Any attempt by the Census Bureau to undermine American citizens' equal protection and equal influence over congressional elections must be opposed. And that is exactly what the state of Alabama and I are doing by filing this action on behalf of Alabama citizens. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman